Really excited to welcome our four panelists this afternoon. We're talking about customer advocacy. We're going to cover a few questions on it. I will let them introduce themselves. We'll start at the far end with Amanda and then work our way back to me, and then we'll go into some questions.
Great. Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Griffiths. I'm the Director of Digital Marketing and E-commerce for Davines and Comfort Zone North America. We are a sustainable hair care and skincare brand. We're family-owned and headquartered out of Parma, Italy. And we've been a B Corp since 2016.
Hi, I'm Gregor. This is my third life cycle. Woo. I was first here as head of marketing at the clothing brand Finisterre. And then I ran a customer insights agency startup with about 20 or so retailers. And now I'm a marketing consultant for global brands such as IKEA. I'm happy to be here.
Hi everyone, so I'm Lucille, head of digital for The Fall. So we are a women's wear company specialized in workwear. I've been at The Fall for 3 years and I look after all of the e-commerce platform as well as customer acquisition, customer retention.
Hi everyone, my name is Alice. I am Manager of Customer Success at Ametria. I look after the growth team within Ametria's customer success team, and my role is to work with my team to help ensure our customers derive the most success from the Ametria platform.
Nice. Thanks very much, everyone. I forgot to introduce myself. My name's Will Grant, and I'm a senior account executive, which means I work in sales. Thanks. A question for everyone, but we'll start with you, Gregor, is what does customer advocacy mean for you?
Yeah, for me, customer advocacy is the super fans in your customer base. It's the people that know your product better than you do. It's the people who maybe talk passionately about your brand to others over dinner. They maybe even drive, more than 200 miles to access your latest release. They believe in the value you deliver and are ambassadors for it, and it's the outcome of doing certain things very, very well.
Nice. Should we go to Amanda next?
Yeah, absolutely. So I agree with everything Gregor just said, and to add to that, for me it's about building and nurturing long-term customer relationships through your key business drivers, so your value propositions, your customer experience, customer service, sort of all these key things that we talk about day to day, paying super close attention to those things in order to foster brand love. And really, pushing what makes your business unique, so that you can really connect with the customer and what matters to them.
Love that. We'll come on to that in a minute. And Lucille, got any thoughts?
So for me to add to your point as well is to add the customer experience that you have at all of the different touch points. So being from in-store, being from online, so really trying to nurture all of these different interactions with your customers to make them very special and very personalized to your customers.
Nice. And Alice?
Yeah, so I think in terms of how brands can create advocacy, there's kind of several strategies or elements that I think they can leverage to do so. The first being value-added experiences, so giving back to the customer more than just the product interaction that you have with them. The second would be using customer insights to further the personalization through your CRM touchpoints and the engagements that you have. The third would be community, so building a community space so that you can connect with customers again out with the products that you're selling with them and have different engagements and kind of capture their feedback. The fourth would be trust, so that building that through the quality of your product and the customer service, the support that you offer them. And the final would be rewards, so how you kind of recognize and nurture loyalty amongst your base. And I will say that at Ametria, we don't typically see a one-size-fits-all when it comes to advocacy. For some brands, it'll be more leaning into rewards. For others, it might be the community space they're building. Others, it might be referral marketing. So I'd say whatever feels right for your brand, lean into that. And ultimately, it's taking that customer-centric approach to how you're engaging with your customers. And that will help kind of foster loyalty and ultimately growth from those customers.
Love that. I love how all of these are I don't know, they feel like they're similar to some of the conversations that we've had today from some of the other speakers. So it's great to hear that everyone's in sort of cahoots with that. So Amanda, did you find that customer behavior around advocacy has changed post-pandemic?
Yeah, 100%. I think the customers are looking so much more for brand trust and authenticity. I think too they're looking for, we call it a purchase with a purpose. So, you know, that's really something we've leaned into at Davines. We have, again, been a B Corp since 2016. We focus on 3 sustainability pillars that are really core to the brand, and we really like live, eat, breathe our mission. The pillars are decarbonization, circularity, biodiversity, and we really almost use this as like a red thread through all of our communications and touch points through our digital channels. Keeping that consistency helps build trust with the consumer. You know, someone said earlier, I believe, that customers are now, you know, really in charge of what they're purchasing and where and why. So, you know, I really think if, again, repetition fixes firmly, so if you can really build in your key messaging to really tie what's important to your brand together, it comes across super genuine. People really gravitate to that, and yeah, and I think ultimately that's really helping us after the pandemic. Even right now, I just checked before I got on stage, and our retention rate is about 58% this past month. So something we're doing is working. And you know, we're also not a super promotional company. So, you know, I don't think people should feel you know, really challenged to have to, you know, always offer 20% off or 30% off and kind of do these deep discounts, because it can also be a really slippery slope. You know, we do have like more of a GWP strategy for our VIPs, which is working really well and ties into the customer advocacy and rewarding, again, working really well. But yeah, I just think if you find out who you are as a brand, like what you feel really strongly about, and you really lean into that mission and proposition value, it'll really go a long way.
Love that. Love it. Lucille, are there certain campaigns that encourage brand loyalty over others? And could you share some of your standout success stories?
Yeah, so I think for us at Default, so we've been there for 10 years now, and originally based in the UK, but we've developed internationally as well. And actually, one thing in the US, for instance, so to bring back to the beginning, the brand was built from our founder in order to really empower women, and she's also realized that in the term of suiting, there was a lot of options of suiting for men's, but not as much for women's. And this is something that resonated very well in the US market, for instance, where we became almost their niche brand to get some outfits that you couldn't find like anywhere else. And this is something that we've kept a long way with all of our US customers, through some of our communications with them, through some of our direct discussions with them for product development and so on and so forth. So that's been really successful for us in that market. And other than that, what we have developed is a sense of community as well that goes global. So we've developed the Default Women's, which I definitely recommend to everyone to have a look. So it's a series of very impressive women, really, describing all of their careers, how they got to where they got to, any advice, style advice, but career advice as well, to really like encourage and empower all of the younger generations to really push through what sometimes can feel a bit like a glass ceiling. So all of that has been really successful for us as a brand too. And on top of that, organizing some events in the store, but we only have one store in the UK, so it's actually not necessarily plausible for outside of London, but at least trying to really get that sense of community niche market.
Nice. Community seems to be running through today, which is great. Gregor, what are some of the strategies you've seen for rewarding your brand's most loyal customers?
Yeah, I think one of the strategies I've seen in that space work most effectively around loyalty programs, and then the decision whether to tier your rewards, whether tiering rewards is right for your customers and your brand. I think your top customers, these super fans, if you will, their engagement is so high that it's often about rewarding them more emotionally, experientially than transactionally. And I think although AI comes with a lot of promises, that's often a bit more harder to scale up. One of the examples I really like is from Lululemon. Lululemon offer a free membership where you can access yoga class content, you can have tailoring for your garments, there's community events as well. But then they also have a paid tier membership which actually links to one of their products, which is their home workout mirror. So for the super fans, they are able to access another layer of rewards and benefits and actually experience the brand on a daily basis in their homes. It's also giving reoccurring revenue to the business. So I'd be thinking expansively about what could I reward my most loyal customers to deepen my relationship with them, and then how can I do that in a way that's viable for the business.
Nice. If anyone else has any thoughts on any of these next questions, feel free to come in. So Amanda, when you're trying to build retention and loyalty, what pieces of information do you need on your customer to provide this kind of experience that builds advocacy?
Yeah, so we look at a number of different factors from demographics, purchase history, customer affinities, for certain products that they love, and then really use that information to develop full funnel strategy. So I know we're talking a lot today about customer advocacy and retention, but I think it really also starts from the top of the funnel and prospecting, right? Because we can't keep talking to the same customers over and over. We do need to prospect. We have to bring them down. So we really look at things that, and it might sound cliche, but kind of attract, convert, retain. What are we doing in each of these stages of the customer journey? How are we talking to the customer at the right place, at the right time, with the right message, as well as with personalization and the things that we know through some of these AI-powered platforms to really help us create that strategy. So I would say from a full funnel perspective has really helped us. And I think the more that you understand your advocates and your best customers, your VIPs, understanding what they love and what they really gravitate towards, what's resonating with them, you can almost kind of reverse on that and then use that information to help attract and bring in a new customer base that really is someone that's like-minded, that's going to make a qualified purchase, and then really continue to build on that as time goes on.
Nice. It kind of harks back to what both Joe and Jason have said this morning around that kind of piece around looking at customers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Nice. Alice, what are some of the examples you can share of how your best performing clients are building their customer advocacy?
Yeah, so I think thinking back to, the kind of 5 key strategies that I shared at the beginning, and I guess touching on what has been shared today. First on community, of kind of what the Fold have been doing. I think a brand that's doing this exceptionally well is Trini London. So they have Trini's Tribe. They have over 80,000 kind of subscribers to that community base. They run kind of a Facebook community space, as well as meetups. have the opportunity to meet the founder for some of those. There's different unique benefits for doing so. So it's a space where you can connect, obviously initially through the love of that brand, but also then, thereafter about different things that kind of connect the customers together. It also means, again, the brand is able to have those engagements, capture feedback, and like you said, have that's out with just the transactional product that you're selling to them. I think another brand that does it really nicely is Sigma Sports. They're a cycling brand. So they organize things like cycle rides that you can kind of go and join. They also have a podcast. So again, other ways that they can engage and connect with their customers out with just the product cycle. To kind of touch on Amanda's point about kind of sustainability and go back to kind of what I shared about trust and building that trust. Sustainability is a kind of really key topic for today's consumers. A lot more consumers want to understand the kind of brand stance on that and have that transparency in the buying cycle. And a brand that I think is doing this really well, or it's two brands, Isabella Oliver and Bauken. They have Isabella Oliver is a maternity brand, and they run a maternity recycling scheme where you can send back your maternity clothes from actually any brand. They send you a label, they'll do the recycling on your behalf, and in reward for that they send like a thank you, which is a voucher off a next purchase. And cleverly, they recognise that if you are recycling your maternity clothes, you are probably at the end of that maternity journey at that moment of time. And so they give you the thank you for their sister brand, Bauken, who are a women's wear fashion. So also using it as an opportunity to kind of move customers between brands within their kind of umbrella group, but ultimately kind of focusing on that sustainability. They're also a B Corp as well, so that's a really core part of their values, which they want to kind of connect with customers on. And I think the final example I wanted to share is more around the rewards piece, which kind of Gregor touched upon, and my own experience, I guess, when it comes to kind of feeling that as a customer. So I think a brand that does this exceptionally well is Space NK. So for those who know me, it's no secret that I really love that brand. But I only actually started shopping with them a few years ago, and the reason I did is a colleague was sharing how great their loyalty program was and saying that I should go and kind of check them out. So I did, and I started shopping, so that's first tick for advocacy there. And some of the things that I love about it is how, first of all, they engage with their customers. So through every email touch point, there is always a banner or something at the bottom that says kind of how many reward points, and just for context, in terms of every time you spend, that gives you points. The points are then converted into monetary value of your kind of next spend. So it will say kind of how many points I've got to go before I kind of unlock the next £5, £10, when it expires, and things like that. So that's always kind of front of mind, but it also makes every email feel connected to myself. During promotional times, they'll do things like banners at the top, which will say, don't forget to use your £5 or £10 or whatever I have available. I will say also the additional perk of being a customer is that, and I understand why a lot of brands don't do it, but you're able to actually use your rewards during promotional periods, so that feels like a double kind of win as a customer. So I'm able to shop on that, but then that still gives me points, and I can also kind of get that double discount off. And because I have become a loyal customer of those, I've also been invited to have other touch points with the brand. So one of those is invited to kind of review products that haven't yet been launched on their website. So I get sent a full free-size product, which is always a nice perk. And then I get invited to leave a review and share my experience. And through leaving my review, I also get points. So again, that's another way where that's also feeding back into my next reward that I'm going to get. And from the brand's perspective, they're able to use my reviews that I've left, as well as others that I've been invited to then kind of help promote that newly launched product or brand. Especially in the beauty world, product reviews are a huge part of the buying cycle. So again, when they're trying to kind of launch something new, having that to give buyer confidence is really key. So I could go on about my love of Space NK, but hopefully it proves the point about advocacy through, first of all, my colleague sharing with me, and now here I am sharing with everyone in this room what a great brand I think Space NK is.
Yeah, it's a good advert for them, eh? So some amazing tips and ideas and examples. So that's the good. And let's go to the bad. Gregor, what's some of the most common mistakes brands make when they're trying to build a loyal customer base?
Yeah, I mean, building a loyal customer base takes time. consistency, and all areas of the business working well together. I think one of the mistakes I've seen, experienced, is thinking it's a marketing department task only, and instead focusing on the principles that lead to customer loyalty, such as, you know, influencing quality product, ensuring there's a frictionless shopping experience, creating a great brand, and of course then delivering value-adding customer engagement.
Nice, which ties in nicely with what Amanda was saying with the whole B Corp piece and everything to do with sort of brand identity that we've spoken about today. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. So, final question. So this is for the whole panel. For teams doing more with less, so we know that almost every marketing team within the retail world is not quite big enough for the asks of the board. So for those teams that have to do more with less, what are some of the quickest ways to create true brand advocates? And Lucille, I think I might go to you first, if that's okay.
Yeah, so actually we were talking about that earlier, but one of the big tips, if you actually have a store, is go and sit at the store to actually see what your customers are doing. You know, I love spending like a day and working from our store sometimes, just to be able to really identify what they're actually doing, because quite often on the website I will have the data, but it's just telling me from a demographic standpoint, but I really want to understand how they fully engage with the brand. So that would be tip number one. Making sure that your brand is very recognizable as well. So you've got all of your packaging at every single, as I said earlier, every single touch point, so you can really recognize it. You can share it on social media with your product being shared, all of your posts being shared. So like making sure you can really recognize your brand from the customer standpoint. You've got the refer friends as well, that, you know, you can get your customers, if they're happy with your experience, to actually refer to other friends. And I think another one that is quite often untapped is actually your employee, making sure that the employee also happy within the brand, the workspace, because they're going to be speaking happily about the brand as well through all of their network, like similar to, you know, Space NK, what we've just done today.
Nice, yeah, and interestingly, we had a conversation about going into store and experiencing how, within, for example, fashion, how dresses may look or outfits may look in a different context rather than just online. So, really interesting. Amanda, we'll go to you next.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to just start with, you know, looking at the tools that you already have in your toolbox, having a brainstorming session, and you know, what can you do that's, you know, maybe low-hanging fruit that you can, you know, implement, right? Like there's so many great ideas up here, but it might feel really overwhelming. You know, there's reviews and there's loyalty program and SMS, and I think it's important to fiercely prioritize, almost, you know, even creating a roadmap for yourself. You know, what's really going to move the needle for you based on, you know, what your goals are as a company. And I would also say, you know, really listening to your customers. Everyone at the end of the day, I think, just really wants to feel heard and appreciated and rewarded. So yeah, just really finding ways. You know, we at Davines too, we implemented this new voice of the customer meeting that we have amongst our team, and you know, just really like coming together as a team and seeing the feedback from our consumer, whether it's organic social, paid social, our reviews, you know, what are the people saying? Like, how can we really action on their needs and their wants? And then, you know, you kind of see it all the time too, brands saying, you know, we heard you and we listened, you know, and it could be something as small as, you know, something we did recently. We redesigned our conditioner tubs. They were square and I guess quite difficult to open in the shower, but they are now round. And everyone is very, very happy about this. I mean, small change, but I think it was a huge win for the brand. And what else? And yeah, and I think just going back to, again, being super authentic, passionate about the brand, what you're doing, who you are, and really just making sure that you're streamlining that through all of your communications, from paid social, paid search, organic social, really figuring out and deciding what these key messages are that you want your customer to really internalize and will resonate at the heart.
Nice. Well, Lucille mentioned packaging, and you've given us an example of how packaging can make a difference.
Yes.
And on the brand advocacy and really living it and breathing it, I think we only have to look at Gregor's picture, probably from his time at Finisterre, to see someone living and breathing it. Gregor, what are your thoughts?
Quickest way to true brand advocates. A method that I really like, and it's a simple one, and it's because of the huge exchange of value between customers and brand, is to just write a personal invitation to your top 100 customers, invite them to visit your office or give them a factory tour or sit down and have dinner with them, ask them questions, show them products, engage them. And I think the insights that come from that for your teams could be quite profound. But then also the unique value to your customers, talking about true brand advocates. I mean, that's a unique experience to share with them. So that's something that I really like.
If Space NK were in the room, they'd be writing Alice a letter in the next couple of days.
I hope so, one day.
Well, Alice, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think from my perspective, it's looking at your tech stack and seeing where it can kind of make efficiencies and make it work as hard as possible. If you have a small team, that's where efficiencies can really improve and give time back to your team to focus on really where the value they can add to your brand and your CRM strategy. So there's a number of ways you can do this, but for example, the first would be if you use a loyalty provider such as Loyalty Line or Yotpo, looking at ways in which you're connecting that in and making sure that that's automatically bringing that data in. It will enable you to do things like Space NK in terms of showing how many points or rewards somebody's got available, what tier they're in. You'll also be able to kind of celebrate if they reach different milestones and kind of continue to nurture that loyalty within those customers. I think the second would be kind of looking if you use kind of reviews or any type of that. Again, the likes of kind of Trustpilot, that you can then bring that data into your marketing platform and again use that to understand and better personalize your communications with your customer. For example, if they currently have an open or if they've given kind of good feedback, you can nurture that. Those are your advocates that you want to continue to support. If they've given kind of negative feedback, understanding where in the journey kind of their experience didn't align with what you wanted them to have and how you can, rebuild that back up so you're not losing them as a customer. And I think the final one to look at is things like customer support. Again, thinking back about building trust, like it's a huge part of the customer's buying journey and the service they get. So again, if you have something like Zendesk, whether there's an opportunity to connect that into your marketing tech stack, and so that if they have an open ticket with your customer support team, you might want to put them in a cool-off period and not send them broadcast or kind of speak to them differently if they've kind of left a positive score or a negative score. Again, being able to react off the back of that, leveraging all of those kind of real-time data points from the different partners that you're using. First of all, removes any kind of manual loads, so CSV loads and things like that your team have to do to connect the dots between that. And also, ultimately, it will give back in terms of the customer experience because you're able to use that to enhance the communications that you're having. And that will help build that solid foundation to create advocates amongst your customer database.
Lovely, a whole range of tips. So hopefully all the different brands that are here have got some ideas, whether it's prioritizing their list or coming up with some new packaging or some better ideas or focusing on the top 100 or looking at their tech stack. So that was all our questions. I hope that everybody has found that super useful. I found it very interesting to meet these four wonderful people. Like Kai said earlier, connect with them on LinkedIn, find them over the next sort of hour or so and over drinks hopefully this evening. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.